Hello. I thought I would stream the workout Wednesday intervals today. I'm not actually running. I'm not actually going to be pretending to running today. So yeah, let's see. John's texted me. John's just texted me, so I'll send him a message back. See if I can get a message out to the Facebook group. So what I need to do is follow John. Can I follow him? Well, a minute ago. Let me get my laptop out, and then I can. So who have we got today? We got 3 in this bit. I'm going to see if I can swap around the groups a bit. I think we're sort of 10 people together, which is encouraging. Laptop. I might do a bike workout after this, but I've just got in from work and I still haven't got my treadmill at home. It's going to be coming in mid-September now, so hopefully it won't be too long. Alright, what I need to do is when it starts, go and follow John, and then I can actually, you can get an idea of what's actually going on. We're starting with a mile warm-up, not too, so we're going to do Group B, which is what John Hancock's doing. There we go, we're about to start. No, this is what I need to see if I can get hold of John. Is he on the line? John, where is he? There we go. So following, there we go, I'm following John. Who is Group B, and is that Brett Hansen in Group B as well? And who else we got? Me, I'm going to be standing on the line, just so I can get into the actual group environment, so I can shield out everybody else who's cycling around and stuff. But I need to make sure I'm watching John, so I think you're actually seeing my speed and heart rate, which is obviously 0 because I'm stood still and I've got no heart rate strap on, so going to be not particularly interesting watching that. We may flick around a bit between the two. I just need to make sure I don't lose anyone else. So we've got Hansen here. I need to be careful of it's not actually going in. I was actually looking at it via OBS, and if I come out of OBS it seems to sort of stop, so I wonder if I do a split screen thing. That one. Let's split. Put that up there and make that. Does that work? Probably then see a very small screen, won't you? Yeah, I don't think it's going to work so well. So we'll come back to that and then maximise that again. There we go, back to me. So, yeah, fairly gentle start on this one. Let's see if we can get a link out to the Facebook group, see if we can get anyone interested in there. So it's fairly comfortable warm up, 9.1 kph at the moment. It will slowly ramp up the speed, I think. So John's doing it's equivalent of 6-minute miling basically. So hopefully that shouldn't be too taxing for him. Just seen a load of riders going by there. So we've got two runners in B running together, Hansen and John. I think it's Brett Hansen, isn't it, from the States? Is it Dave Clarkson in Group C? P. Giles, I'm not sure who that is. I'm guessing Paul or Peter. Chap from Team NL, I'm not sure who they are, it's in Group D. Everyone's doing their own workout, which is kind of similar. So the workout is basically after the mile warm up we do 2 400s, then we go into a mile. The mile's at the threshold pace, the 400 is a bit over threshold, then we go into 2 800s, a bit over threshold, and then finish with 4 4s. A bit harder than threshold. So the whole session is geared around threshold or just over. So nothing really quick, but I'm hoping time the recovery so they're not overly long. So sometimes with the new workout format, you can actually do almost schedule too much warm up. Right, I'll just log onto my laptop by the side here. This is where you've seen half of it, right? So we haven't got that many numbers at the moment. This is quite a demanding session, so not surprising that not many people will join run indoors in end of August when there's a few more evenings perhaps to get out. But how much longer have we got? You can actually tell on this view how long to go. There's 0.4 of a K done, so it's a good K to go of the warm up yet. Only running for 3 minutes, so not too much. I'm already a long way back, so I'm stood still. Right, YouTube. Let's see if my stream's working now. You might hear a back echo in the back of me in the back. Zwift runners. So just two guys running side by side, which is good to see. Well, maybe that's Clarkson from Group C. Maybe all the guys have kind of merged together for now. Right, let's see if I can find this URL to my stream. I haven't quite worked out the restreaming thing yet. There's a website you can do that allows you to start a stream in multiple places. So YouTube and Facebook Live, I kind of think are the two obvious ones. So at the moment, you just put in a key for one or the other. I haven't actually quite worked out Facebook yet. Actually, it's quite easy to live stream on YouTube, but you never feel there's actually, it's more better platform I think for people to look at stuff afterwards rather than during. So right, my channel. This is actually, oh we go, live stream. Right, I'm live streaming well. I want to take a look and get some chat going. So I'm posting this into the Zwift Runners group. There we go, post. So I can watch my stream over. I've got the sound turned down. The sound turned down on that one. Yeah, I've got the sound turned down. Otherwise, I find I'm going to hear myself on echo. Right, so we're halfway through the warm up for the B group, and actually we're still at 9.1, aren't we? KPH that they're going at. So just keep with us for 0.8K. You're working in kilometres. Who's he talking to there? Maybe Hanson going. So I've just posted over into the Zwift Runners Facebook group, which is our main group where all the runners come to discuss Zwift running. We were having a chat, some of us, to one of the Zwift employees last night just to see where he thinks things are going. Looks like there's going to be some initiative to put Zwift running a bit further forward than it has been over the summer, so look out for that. It all promises to be good. Hopefully we'll start seeing more numbers on Zwift, and Zwift themselves actually more proactively publicising it, which would be good. I'm not quite sure yet as to what actually is going to happen differently. There are some talk of running only courses maybe coming along soon. Haven't seen anything yet myself, but it's all promising stuff to look forward to. So normally Stephen Cousins does the streams, and he also runs as well. But he's actually in Chamonix in France. I think he's on a family holiday with unsurprisingly, some sort of ultra race coming up at the end of the week. I think as an ulterior motive. So he's been posting pictures of Facebook with his 360 camera and stuff. So a nice little group there of 3 runners, which must be John, Brett, and Dave. You can see me ever falling back. I did actually pretend to run on Monday, but I thought there's only so many times you can pretend to run, especially when you're doing a workout. So I thought I'd just put myself on the line, so get into the stream and carry on. You okay at C Pace, Paul? Who's Paul? I wonder. Can't see him. What I could do is check on the companion app, because I should be able to log into that, because I'm actually part of the group workout even though I'm not moving. Oh, here we go. You can see the schedule. Of course, the schedule is for me saying to warm up because I'm not moving, am I? I can use this to message. So right, how many got? So we've got the first 400 soon. I'll just send you a little message to see if it appears. I think John's Hancock's actually the leader on the group, so he's got the yellow beacon. Sometimes I do the leading, but I haven't actually run for a few weeks because of a bit of an injury, so I passed over the baton to John. I used normally in the A group, but because I haven't run for a while, I don't think I'll be fit enough for the A group at the moment, so I think if I did join a run, it would probably be in the B. Although you might start seeing the A group runs looking a bit easier than they were, to see if I can keep up with my own runs. One of the problems we have is getting the difference between the different groups, because we've only got 4 groups, and you've got quite a wide spread of people. Some of the A group runners a lot better than me. We've had Steve Way running before, who's the British record holder for 100k on the road, running just over 6 hours, and he was where did he come in? He was 3rd in Comrades Ultra this year, which is an incredible run. And so we go from people like that to lesser mortals like myself, who are sort of reasonable club runners, all the way down to sort of beginner runners who just starting out. So we've got to cater for all those different paces, so it can be hard to do so. Just see if I'm getting any chat in the Facebook group. I think I need to actually work out how to stream via Facebook. I think that'll be a lot easier then, because then you can see the stream moving as we go. So John's now up to 14.3. Oh, and this is a problem. So I'm watching myself, and I think I'm watching my instruction to do the warm-up. So that's not really going to be very good for the stream, is it? So John's now doing the first of the 400s. The idea of this session, I actually borrowed it from one of the Zwift Academy bike sessions, the very first one, because I did that one the other day. It was probably one of the hardest ones I did, actually. It's not quite as long as the bike sessions, but I think that doing a run session exactly like the bike one will be a bit too hard. But we did basically start off with a few little short efforts over about a minute. So 400 is about the nearest you can get to a minute at the moment, because you can only do specified interval over 200 meters, and then in multiples of 200 meters above that. So it like goes 200 meters or 400 meters. So 400 meters probably it's a good minute and a half for these guys at this pace, maybe a bit more. So certainly like a decent run. I mean, on the treadmill, by the time you've got your treadmill going up, sometimes you can sort of almost get to the end of your interval before the treadmill gets up to speed. But at least at 400, you get there quite quickly and get a good minute and more in. So you can see John and Brett are, and Dave as well. It looks like Dave's maybe joining in with Group C. He's a bit back, but not too much. What you can also do with the workouts now is you can actually alter the intensity. The default is 100%, so this is based on a threshold pace of 13 kph. But if you think that's a bit slow or fast with you, you can go up plus or minus 10%. So we experimented that the other day, and if you go up to like the maximum 110%, you almost get to sort of Group A levels. And The other way, you go down to 90%, you almost get to group C level. So you can almost get an overlap just by filtering the speed. The only problem, of course, is that you lose the feeling of running with somebody. Because in the running, you don't get the sticky draft like you do in cycling. So whatever speed you go in the running is what speed you'll see going in the game. So on the other hand, you can kind of use the rest sort of like to catch up. So it looks like Dave has caught up with John, and be interesting to see if they can get back to Brett, who's a couple of seconds ahead. Now because I'm watching, I wonder if I go and re-watch John, whether let's go into the game, see if I can change today. No, I'm only getting, unfortunately, my view of the workout, unfortunately, which is not good for not good for streaming, is it? But let's stick on Dave for a bit and go back to the stream. So I'm now watching Dave Clarkson, who's actually signed up for Group C. So he's sort of decided he would try and hang with the B runners for a bit. Let's see if he can. So it looks like Brett and John are off on their next 400 metre interval. I'm not sure whether Dave is actually not going quite as quickly at the moment. Not surprising if he stepped up a group. In fact, he's getting away a bit, isn't he? So John's texting out instructions, 14.3k now, and back to 9.8 for 200 metres. So I think maybe he's seeing that. What's he seeing that? You can't often see what the rests are until you actually do them. Maybe he's looking at that. What I can I do remotely? If I do remotely back to me, well, I don't want to go back to me because I'll go back to the start. I don't want to do that then. Messages. Can we do fan view on John? I'm trying to do fan view on John from my mobile. See if that changes. There we go. Oh no. There we go. Is that working? No. I'm still seeing Dave. Let's give a ride on. Can't see that either. So you really need to do a good stream in workout mode. You really need to be actually running along with the people, otherwise you get the instructions for yourself, who stood like 11 on the line because they couldn't actually get anything going. So what's John into now? So he must be into his recoveries at the end of his 400. So they've got a little recovery, and then they'll be into their mile at threshold pace. So they'll be doing a mile or 600 metres at 13 kph, which that's probably the idea of threshold pace is probably around about 10k race pace, something like that. So not, pretty hard going actually. You certainly be pleased to see the end of that mile when you finish that one. 1.6k at 13. Yeah, so you see John's texting out a few instructions as well. So it's Dave. So Dave's hanging in there still. He's only 6 seconds behind John. Maybe Dave's doing slightly different. Now John and Brett are off in B group. They're off to doing their 600 rep at 13 kph. So we're now 16 minutes into the workout. I think it's about 50 minutes altogether that I've scheduled for it. So this is the longest rep, but we've only got one of these. And then it's all basically multiples of a mile now. So we've got 1 1600, 2 800s, and 4 400s. But the pace, because the interval distance is shorter, the pace of them is progressively a bit harder. So it'd be interesting to see whether people think a mile at threshold is kind of any easier or harder than say 4 4s at 15 kph, which would be exactly 20 minutes for 5k. So you can see John's pace is sort of steady, hovering around the 4:30 pace, isn't it? So 4:30 per k. So about 45 minutes for 10k. So I'm not sure. I think John's PB for 10k is, I'm not sure if he's broken 40 minutes. So yeah, he's probably not far off his race pace there for 10k. I think he may have done about 42, something like that. Not sure what Brett and Dave have done. As I run the Power of 10 website in the UK, I can potentially look up. So actually, see if I can look up John Hancock's times if he's got any. Or does he spend all his time running indoors and never actually goes outside? Let's have a quick look. John Hancock. Let's see where I've got him. John Hancock, is he there? Let's get the right one. I can't obviously quickly see off the top of my head what his PBs are. Let's have another quick look at it. No, I'll have to investigate that further. Go and ask him what his PBs are. I think it's about 42 minutes, something like that, as they say, based on what he does. So we've now got. Now what's happened to the other guys? Was there anyone in Group A, I wonder? They'll probably be a bit ahead by now. I think Group A and Group B are scheduled the same session, but just at different speeds. So Group A was based on a threshold pace of 15 kph. So they'll be doing this one. 1k will take them exactly 4 minutes, or so that's like 20-minute pace for 5k, or 10-minute pace for 10k. So this one's a bit slower. The problem, as I said earlier, if you're more in sort of the 14 kph range, so what you can do then is to adjust the difficulty from 100%, either select A and go down a bit, or B and go up a bit. Problem then, of course, is that you end up running on your own, which does rather defeat the object of a group workout. So sometimes I kind of feel like if the pace is not exactly what you want to do, you can kind of adapt your effort that day for the group dynamic. Because I think in a lot of sessions, if you're there or thereabouts with your pace, it's fine. If you're so worried that you must do an exact pace, you're probably best off doing the session on your own anyway. Because these ones are meant to be a bit of a social thing as well as good training. So who are we watching? We must be watching Dave. I think so. Perhaps we'll switch over to Brett for a change to see what he does. Where's Brett? There we go. He's in black with the green shorts. It's quite and you can see John is the yellow beacon, so he's 28 meters behind. Which in cycling terms would be only a couple of seconds, wouldn't it? But in running terms, that's 8 seconds. So, although they do at the moment seem to be running exactly the same speed. So, I think what happens sometimes in the recovery is if your treadmill decelerates or accelerates quicker, you can often get gaps on that bit as opposed to the actual running bit. Because they do more or less seem to be actually running at exactly the same speed. I presume they're still in there. 1600 meters. As I said, unfortunately, because I'm kind of got the workout mode up, I'm actually looking at the workout instructions for myself, who's actually stood on the line, because I just joined the group to be able to easily fit between people. So one of the drawbacks of the group workout is very much tailored for your experience rather than trying to watch somebody else. Whereas in normal group runs, if you flick between people, you can see their heart rate, their speed, stuff like that. In a group workout, it doesn't look like you can, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because you could be running along and then have a quick look at somebody else, but you still want to know what you should be doing rather than what they should be doing, because you're meant to be running. So it's just interesting that although I've been running for 21.5 minutes, I'm actually 20 minutes behind, so I'm quite puzzled about how they do the timing sometimes. See if we got any. No, we haven't got any comments in Zwift runners. Or have we? Well, let's just have a talk about what we're seeing in the Zwift runners at the moment. still an ongoing bug, it seems, that if you people are having problems uploading to Strava. I think it often happens if you change sport without actually exiting the game. So say you do a bike ride for a bit and like as a warm up for a run, and then you go into the pairing screen and then you switch over to ride, from ride to run rather. And I think although Zwift kind of creates a new fit file for the different activity, I think there's some sort of problem in what they do then. And I think when it gets to Strava get confused about something. And I saw a comment that John Mayfield's going to be fixing that, or has fixed that with his development team for imminent release. So hopefully we won't see too much more of those problems again. What else are we seeing in Zwift runners at the moment? So there's me streaming, no comments, no likes. That's also a bit sad. If you post something and no one's saying anything. Oh, John Mayfield's just posted a comment. Is he commenting on? Speak to that as well, time. So John Mayfield's actually just posted a message in the Facebook group saying that both fixes are now live. You'll notice a super quick update next time you run the PC or Mac version of Zwift. Sorry again for the lost data. This may be the first time in 4 years we've had exercise data is actually lost, i.e. not even on your hard drive. We'll try to make it another 4 years at least without it happening again. So yeah, well that's obviously good that they fixed that, and I think it's always good in Zwift that you get somebody who's basically the chief technical architect of the whole thing, kind of the inventor of the game from the technical side. John Mayfield posting on Facebook groups, apologising for bugs in the game, which obviously can spoil your experience. But I think bugs are almost understandable. I work in IT, and it's almost impossible not to have a bug-free environment. But I think it's usually around how quickly you address those issues, and I think Zwift are certainly one of the better ones in getting their customers sorted out as quickly as possible. So I think John are now coming to the start of their 800. So we're about halfway through the workout now. We've done the long mile effort, and now the speed will start to rise slowly. So we're now going to be going, I'd say these 800 meters around about your 5k race speed if 13 kph is your threshold, so 13.7. So it looks like John and Brett have now sped up, and they're currently doing around about 420 pace, 420 minutes per k. Yeah, which probably is about 13.7, I think. So let's see how they get on with that. They seem to be sticking together reasonably well. Dave's dropped back a bit now. Maybe he's actually doing his own workout. It's quite challenging if your C is your normal pace to go up to B. I mean, you're basically running 2 kph faster than you've kind of signed up for. Although he may have adjusted his workout difficulty. So as I said, John's looks like he's put out that release to fix that issue with Strava uploads, which is great to see. What else have we got on the Zwift Runners group to talk about? So Frank's asking about if workouts will support duration-based workouts. So what that means is that if you notice this workout, it's all based in distances. So we're doing reps of 400, 1600, 1800, 400. I think certainly on the Zwift Academy and the biking, all the workouts I've done are all time-based. So you ride, say, hard for a minute, easy for a minute, hard for 3 minutes, So it also makes it a lot easier to schedule the same session for different speeds. So if I was doing this as a speed-based one, we would probably have, instead of a mile warm-up, we may do, I don't know, 10 minutes warm-up, something like that. Instead of 2 400s, we may do, say, 2 by 90 seconds or 2 by 2 minutes, and a 1600 maybe sort of 4 or 5 minutes, 2 800s maybe 3 minutes, 4 400s, again 90 seconds. So, and then each group then can have the same time, and they just go at different speeds. So the advantage there is that everyone actually runs for the same amount of time, does the same session basically, but obviously the faster guys are and women are further up the road, but you basically all done the same thing. Whereas in these ones, it's kind of difficult because if you schedule the same session literally for from the A group to the D group, that means the D group are running for an awful lot longer, and it can be kind of daunting if you log on and see you've got an hour and a half of running in an interval session, when an hour and a half on a treadmill is going to be a long run for anybody, even a good elite runner. So what I've done there with the D group is I've cut out some of the intervals. So I think instead of them doing 2 4s and 4 4s, I got them doing 1 4 and 2 4s, and I think I may have cut one of the 800s as well. So by cutting out a few intervals, I think I cut it back so they ended up running for 50 minutes. So you get the same basic sort of workout, but without sort of feeling you're there all night doing it. What else is there? Dave Campbell's on again. He's been trying again to run with somebody, and he is asking how you sort of retrospectively find out who they were. So I replied to say, well, you can either, if you use Strava to upload your run, which I don't think he has in terms of connecting it directly to Zwift, assuming that bug which John Mayfield has fixed is there. But then on Strava, because you've got the map, you can then use the map functionality to see who you're running with, and you may even get sort of a few kudoses from people. Also, at the end of a run, when you come to exit, and you get a list of people who gave you a ride on or you were close to, so that's another way. Well, of course, the best way if you want to contact somebody is to send a message when you're actually running along beside them. I think he was just curious what they were doing, because he was running steady state, and this other guy was, well, presumably the guy was had a more fluctuating speed. John's saying, "You're gone, Dave. Assume you're just running at steady pace." Yeah. So yeah, poor old Dave, you may have been a bit stretched there if he was trying to hang on to John and Brett in Group B. Maybe. Sometimes the sort of the runners sort of come back at odd moments, like you'll see something that's like 3 minutes back. But it's just Brett and John at the moment. So it looks like okay, so John and Brett, they must be on their second 800, because their pace is about 4:20 again. So apologies, because I'm actually still, as I said earlier, looking at my workout plan, because I'm sort of stood on the line, just so I can get in this environment to do the streaming. So John and Brett are actually on the 2x800 stage. So they're coming towards the end of their session, about 2/3 of the way through now. Just got the 400 intervals to go, I think. So I imagine they're coming towards the end of their second 800, and then getting ready for the 4 4s, which will be the fastest part of the session. And this is kind of based on the Over One's Zwift Academy workout number 1, where they said, the whole aim was to get you to do 1 minute intervals. So instead of doing 1 minute intervals, we're doing 400s. Because at the moment you can either only really do a 200 or a 400, because over 200 it sort of rounds to the nearest 200. So I thought 200 is a bit short. Well, that'll be under a minute, I think, and then 400s, well, a bit more than a minute, but 400 is a good running distance, I think, isn't it? It's a classic track session of doing 400 metre reps once around the track. So we're kind of doing a variant on that today, by just doing a few different paces, a few different distances. I kind of like the different, having seen Zwift now, I think I'm trying to schedule the sessions so they're a bit more interesting, right? If you just do a session of the same distance over and over again with the same recovery, it's all good training, but it can be mentally quite tough, because you've got the same thing over and over again, and sometimes you might actually look forward to a bit of a shorter one, a bit faster, or other people may prefer a longer one, a bit slower. But obviously in a racing situation you need to be able to have a good balance of speed and endurance, so as part of the thinking on having different paces. Obviously it'd be a challenge if you're doing the 400s, doing the 1600 at the pace you're doing the 4s at, but that's why we have shorter intervals and recoveries between. So let's go back to the Facebook group, see what else we're talking about today. Richard Marks posted his run on Strava. Innsbruck, gentle run to test the legs with a bit of speed, so although I had 3 signal dropouts. Admin on these posts allowed, don't want to step on any toes. he's asking me basically. So I'm just saying yes, don't post every run. So I'm saying yes, just don't post everyone, because otherwise, I mean, you don't want the Facebook group full of basically someone's training diary, do you? When they're doing like for study run, they do that every day. Right, that's spelling right. Perhaps I should be clever and have the view onto Zwift Runners Facebook group on the side so you can watch. I kind of feel like I'm kind of practicing my streaming, because I'm not sure anyone's actually watching. So yeah, you feel like you're sort of talking to yourself, but when you play it back, you kind of realise that you don't want to keep muttering, which I'm pretty bad at, and you don't want to keep sniffing. You don't want to keep and ahhing. I think the best presenters, you never hear them say at all. There's a very, whether they've actually scripted or not, sometimes you can't really tell, because some people are quite good at ad-libbing, which I'm actually doing at the moment. Other people are actually working to a script. I'm thinking these next 4 are going to hurt Mr. Gross. So yeah, I'll just send a little message. Well, I can't send a message, can I? So yeah, got they're into the 4-4s. They're about to start yet. It looks like Brett's already started to accelerate, so I imagine John must be. Well, Brett's actually got a bit ahead. Actually, he's actually 40 seconds ahead. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Whether he's. Oh no, John's now doing the same pace. So they're doing 15 kph. So you should see their speed hovering around 4 minutes exactly per k. And sure enough, both of them are. So you won't see them exactly doing 4 minutes per k. I think John uses a stride, which is a foot pod. So that kind of measures your, by clever algorithms and accelerometers, to measure how fast you're going. Surprisingly accurate, actually. I mean, also in a treadmill, you have to assume that your treadmill is actually reporting the speed it says it is. So one assumes that John has set his treadmill to 15 kph, and his stride is reporting that he's doing more or less that. So can't really ask much more than that. It looks like Brett may have somehow got ahead, because he's now, is he still slowing down? He's a long way ahead. He's almost like half a rep ahead. So I'm not quite sure what that happened. Maybe he didn't do his rest quite so well. Anyway, so they're well onto their 4s, so they're well into the session now. Hopefully, whether you need to sort of, be good to have a little picture of them, wouldn't it, to see how hard they're working, because you get a sort of message from somebody in the rest intervals. But oh yeah, you can see now Brett's now in the rest, because he's down to 6 minute pace, so he must be doing about 10 kph in the rest recovery. John's probably coming towards the end of his 400. So what else are we seeing in the Facebook group? Jason Melee is asking about the Strava issue, so that's been addressed. Another one from Dave Campbell had a problem. He's got one of these Wahoo Gym Connects. I don't quite know how to call them, because they were actually Wahoo made them. They called them the Gym Connect, and they're also sort of called the GEM, the Gym Equipment Module, I think. So there's one that basically called like a bit of an aftermarket thing, where you can plug it into the C-Safe port in the treadmill, and if you've got one of those, which only typically gym quality high-end ones do, and the idea of it is that it transmits whatever speed the treadmill is reporting over Bluetooth or AMP Plus directly to Zwift, or whatever other applications may want to use it. So the advantage is if your treadmill says you're doing 15 kph in these 400s that we're doing, then your Zwift game will be exactly 15 kph. You won't get this sort of hovering that you see around about the correct pace you do from, say, the foot pods. Although you may argue that when you're actually running, are you really running constantly, because some treadmills, the belt may not be completely smooth, especially some of the sort of the more home ones. They perhaps haven't got such a powerful motor. They may struggle to have a continuous drive, and I think it's also feeling that when you're actually bouncing up and down the treadmill, that in itself affects the treadmill belt. But by and large, you can kind of see they're meant to be doing 15 kph, and give or take a second or two, or 5 seconds or two, they are. So I'm sure they're feeling I'm sure they're feeling this. Looks like John is slightly catching up though. He's now 28 seconds behind. Looks like both of them are now doing their 400 metre reps. So what else have we got? Ryan Downey, this is one from a while ago. He did a marathon on Zwift the weekend. I think it's his first marathon anywhere, which is an amazing achievement. Not sure I really want to do my first one on the treadmill in Zwift, but it's good actually that Zwift is there for that sort of thing. Because I think if you're running 5 hours on a treadmill staring at the screen or watching old films or something, that would be different. And I think he had a few people that ran along with him for a bit, which is part of the attraction of Zwift. You get a bit of a virtual friendship. You can sort of meet people. I've actually met a few people. I've actually met Stephen Cousins a few times and actually done a few park runs with him. We're currently 1-1 in park runs, head to head. So I'm looking forward to our third one. Although he's busy on ultras and I'm busy being injured at the moment and doing Zwift Academy instead. And I've had a few chats with John. I've never actually met him in person, but I've done a few. We did a Discord chat and we've had a few conference calls just talking about various things. And I know Steve Way. Steve Way actually works for me in Power of 10 and Run Britain. He does a lot of the road running stats on the Run Britain side. He looks after importing all the park runs, answering emails, processing results. So yeah, it's quite good to have somebody who's a lot better runner than you as a sort of a friend as well as a colleague, and he's on Zwift. I've actually on my 50th birthday. Actually, had this mad idea to run 50k. And I thought, who can I run with? So I gave Steve a call, see if he fancied a run. He wasn't that fit at the time, bizarrely, and he only did 20 miles of instead of 50k, which is 30. I think I ended up running 32 miles, so just over 50k. And I'm not sure I've been right since. Actually, this was November 22nd, 2016. So I'm coming up 2 years. So I'm coming up to my 52. So I'm not sure I'll be doing 52k, mate. I think 52k on the bike may be a thing, but maybe I'll try and do at least 5.2k running, considering I haven't actually run at all in August, really. Yeah, so going back to the workout, looks like the guys are back onto their 400s again. I can see them hovering around 15 kph or 4 minutes per k, so looks like they're going well. Which I can see their heart rate, so you get an idea of what they're doing. That's one of the problems now with this workout mode. You only really see principally your own details, and I'm stood on the line just so I can stream this. So going back to the Facebook group, nobody's actually really active at the moment. Phil Collins, what's he said? Oh, Phil's commenting on Dave Campbell's experience with the guy who was running and speed was quite variable. He's saying they could have been using the Ticker X, as mine was all over the place. I'm now using a Garmin FootPod, so I think definitely the FootPods will be more stable pace. Some of the FootPods are kind of more accurate than others, but I think by and large the FootPods do give a stable pace, even if it's not necessarily the one you might want to see. But I had a brief go with the Ticker X, and I kind of agree with Phil there that it was all over the place. It's obviously I kind of used it principally for a Bluetooth heart rate monitor when I was using an iPad. Although now I've kind of tend to use my Garmin one, and then use the cable device which converts sound plus into Bluetooth. So the advantage of that is that it can go then both to Zwift on an iPad, and also I can record it on my Garmin as well, so I can get those stats at the same time. So Brett and John, looks like John's almost ouch Tim, so he's thanking me for my very kind session. So it's good to know that people appreciate the job. And so it's kind of difficult to see exactly what they're up to because I can't see their heart rate. So they must be. I wonder if they're coming towards the end of their fours yet. They must be on the. Oh, looks like he's off again on these. Maybe that's the last one they're about to come. I don't think John's treadmill goes much faster than. I think his maximum speed is 16 kph. So when he's doing 15, he's probably stressing his treadmill out as well as himself. So that's another thing to be slightly conscious of when you choose a group session. If your treadmill doesn't go that fast, then you may need to sort of compromise on what you do. Having said that, you can, if your treadmill only goes to 16 kph, you have to be a very good runner to be able to outrun it. You know, if you do a long sort of tempo run at 16 kph, I mean that's 2:37 for the marathon is 6 minute mile pace. I know that because my PB for the marathon, albeit some years ago, was just a bit under that, 2:33, and I used to do a lot of my training at 6 minute mile pace to get used to marathon pace. And I think now we struggle to run 1 mile at 6 minute pace, let alone 26. So the passage of time doesn't often go well. But so it looks like John and Brett are now running together. So somehow John's managed to catch up 40 seconds. So that's always good when you see people coming in together at the end. They must be on their last push, I think. So any more chat on the Zwift runners group? I think we've probably gone through most of this stuff now. Yeah, it's still a bit quiet at the moment. I'm hoping as we come into September and October especially that when in certain parts of the world it actually becomes difficult to run outside, then people will. Nick's asking about what is Zwift Academy. Is it for riders only or for runners only? Is it for riders only or runners? Well, unfortunately, at the moment it's only for riders. But as I said earlier, I was discussing with one of the Zwift employees last night about running, and Zwift have got some plans to push running somewhat more in the months to come. And there's no indication as yet we're going to have a Zwift Academy for running, but I think there are sort of tentative plans to do something at some point. I'm not sure what. I'm not sure they know themselves yet, but I think that would be good. I think I had kind of suggested that all the sort of led group runs we do, like this one, WOW workout Wednesday intervals, and John Hancock's Run in the Park, and then Monday Run Club, which I organise. If you were to say do those, you can maybe count towards some sort of greater unlock maybe in the game, which would be good. I think a bit like Zwift Academy, you have to sort of group together workouts, group rides and races into the overall ambition to graduate. Obviously for the select few there's the chance of getting that pro contract, but when you're 51, going for under 23 contract isn't really on the cards, is it? And when you've got about half the watts per kilo required, it seems. Oh, I now run out of battery on my phone. So I've got my new cabin here, which I'm hoping to get my new treadmill. It's been ordered, and getting a My Run, technical gym My Run, same one that Stephen Cousins does all his streams on. So I'm standing about where it's going to be, and I've got my bike, so I'm hoping to have my treadmill and my bike next to each other. So I used to do duathlons actually years ago. I was in the GB age group team. I think I did two in 1997 and 1998 when I was in the 30 to 34 group. I thought at the time that was quite old, and now I'm in the 50 to 54. So I keep thinking perhaps I want to do another duathlon. So I quite like cycle training, and I quite like run training. I do time trials outside, and I do running races on the track, and I'm probably at the moment sort of anything from 800 metres on the track up to half marathon. Although probably my range is 800 to a marathon. I've never done more than a marathon race, although I have did that 50k on my 50th birthday, as I mentioned earlier. So it looks like they're into their warm down now. So I'm just sending a little message to John. I hope you enjoyed that. So I'm hoping when I get my treadmill, I'll have to start doing a few streams actually running along, which will make it. I kind of actually just like it to stream it, almost to record to see what happens. And you can kind of play it back, and the bits where you kind of worked hard or bits something happened, you can almost sort of action replay of it, or you can sort of see who you ran with. Because bizarrely, yes, on Monday when I was doing a similar thing, Lionel Sanders, the Ironman triathlete from Canada, who's was second in Hawaii last year. I think he's hoping to win obviously this year. Came running past us. So as I was sort of pretending to run with the TSS app, I sort of gave chase. So we haven't had any superstar people dive bombing into our run this time, but a nice little group. This is the second of 8, so there's actually 8 runners. Well, I'm obviously one of them, so I'm not really running. So effectively 7 real runners. We've got 2, John and Brett, on the screen. We saw Dave Clarkson earlier. So hopefully there's a few other people that are in there somewhere. They're kind of long to go now, actually. Oh, you can see the finish is in 9.8k, and I'm watching Brett, who's done 9.6k now. So they've only got 200 meters to go. So I think I'd forecast that they would take about 50 minutes. So I think that's going to be more or less right, which is good. Try and get these things so that they last about 45 to 50 minutes, so that you can do them in an hour with a short period to get on and off the treadmill. So if you have like a lunch hour or a bit short for time before work, well, everyone's short of time, aren't they? So I think anything that takes sort of an hour to get it all done is always good. Let's see, any more Facebook messages? It's very quiet tonight. I think maybe people, when they hear that Stephen Cousins away, they go off and do something else. Oh, that's someone on the Facebook. I'm in the Parkrun Stats Geek group, which is where people talk about stats of parkruns. So as I do the Power of 10 and Run Britain rankings, it's kind of bread and butter talking about all the time. So it's not necessarily about times in parkrun, it's about alphabet hunting. How many have you done beginning with A? I think the problem is they parkrun beginning with Z, so people are kind of stuck. Or is it X? I can't remember which one it is. No, it's X, isn't it? It doesn't have one. So you can only do 25. So there we go. Brett and John must have left the group run. I think Brett must be about to drop out of the group run. Oh, really? I think there's John and Brett running together. So why can't I see Brett still and not? Oh yeah, there we go. Brett's gone back into the normal world. If that was me at 9.8k, I'm sure they'd run on to 10k to get a nice 10k in the bag. It always looks better on Strava when you've got 10k rather than 9.8, I think. But the distance in the workouts doesn't really matter. You just, oh no, Brett's just stopped at 9.9k. So maybe he thinks, being American, he may not think in metrics. So he may have done a thing, oh, it's a good 6 miles, that will do me well. So or maybe John's gone a bit more, can't see. Anyway, so looks like we're now watching cyclists. So if I go back to me, maybe to see who else is in there. So there, I'm stood on the line, looking like a bit of a lemon. 2 more in the group. So I'm not sure what's happened there. So that's the workout I should have done if I was actually running, and I had a very peaceful hour yapping on about it for. How long was we talking? About 50 minutes, wasn't it? So I think I'll come out of that, end run, and discard it. And then what I might do now is get on the bike and actually do something myself. So there we go. That's the end of workout. Wednesday workout intervals. I don't know which way around it is. Workout Wednesday intervals. Wednesday workout intervals. Workout Wednesday. Yeah, I think workout Wednesday intervals. This is WOW. They call it for short. Even though it's my group run, I still struggle to think which is workout or Wednesday first. Workout Wednesday intervals. Go with that. Anyway, thanks for if you did watch any of this, thanks for watching along, and it's all good practice for my streaming, which needs some improvement, as well as my running and my cycling, so everything needs improving. Alright, see you on the next one.